Good evening. Sorry we're a little late today. Welcome to our October 13th, 2015 Ogden City Redevelopment Agency meeting. Let the roll call reflect that all board members are present. And we'll turn the time to Vice Chair White to introduce our Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Isaac Richards, if you'd come up to the podium and here and help us out.
Right over here, right? This side.
May the audience please rise. If you are not in Scout uniform, put your hand over your heart. If you are, do the Scout salute. Please repeat the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Isaac, if you'd bring the rest of your troop up and just introduce you guys, yourselves, and are you working on a badge?
Yeah, introduce yourselves, tell us your names and what troop you're from.
Or Dan.
Eccles Park Ward.
Excellent.
All right, thanks.
Isaac?
Just say your name.
My name is Isaac.
Thank you, Isaac.
My name is Tanner, and I'm the press.
All right.
Caden.
Hi, I'm Michael, and I really like guns.
All right, thanks you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Sit down.
Very good introduction to the pledge. Thank you. Please now join us for a moment of silence. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is the approval of minutes. First is the joint study session on August 25th, 2015. Board Member Garner.
Yes, Chair Heyer, I've reviewed those minutes and found them to be correct.
Then the special meeting on August 25th, 2015. Board Member Gochner.
I have reviewed those minutes and found them to be accurate.
And finally, the closed session on August 25th, 2015. Board Member Stevens.
Yes, Mr. Chair, they're correct. I make a motion that we approve the minutes that have been presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Board Member Stevens, second by Board Member Garner to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, next item is a closed executive session. Do we have a motion to move into a closed executive session?
I will make a motion that we move into a closed executive session.
Second. I have a motion by Board Member Garner, second by Board Member Blair to move into a closed executive session. This is a roll call vote.
Board Member Blair?
Aye.
Board Member Gardner?
Aye.
Board Member Gochner?
Aye.
Board Member Stevens?
Aye.
Board Member Wicks?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair Heyer?
Aye, that passes. We will now move into a closed executive session, and we'll be back at the conclusion of that to continue the agenda. We will now reconvene our October 13th, 2015 Ogden City Redevelopment Agency meeting. We are on item 6 on the agenda, administrative reports. The first is the Kiesel Community Development Project area.
Brandon's on.
And Brandon's on his way, running fast.
A little chatty.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So there's 3 items that are related to the Community Development Project area. Resolution 2015-15, which approves an interlocal agreement between the redevelopment agency and Weber County, and Resolution 2015-16, which approves an interlocal agreement with the agency and the school district, the Ogden School District. The third resolution is 2015-17, which deals with a participation and incentive agreement with 2 entities, Lotus Kiesel and CSPE 005 LLC. So let me speak to the interlocal agreements briefly first, and then I'll get to the participation agreement. On September 22nd, the agency board approved the Kiesel redevelopment project area and the project area plan. Subsequently, you also approved the interlocal agreement between the redevelopment agency and the city, and that interlocal agreement pledged city tax increment revenues in the Kiesel CDA for a period of 20 years to the agency. The 2 interlocal agreements that you have in front of you now, the one between the agency and the county and the one between the agency and the school district, are similar in nature, meaning that those agreements pledge tax increments generated in the Kiesel CDA from the school district and the county, respectively, to the agency over the period of 20 years. That total tax increment pledge equals $8 million, $6 million from, thank you. $6 million from the school district and $2 million from the county. Both of these have been presented to the separate entities, the school district board and the county commissioners. Both were received very well and approved in 2 separate meetings. And so now they're coming to you as the board for final approval and adoption. Is there any questions about the interlocal agreements before we move on to the participation agreement?
Is that normal practice to do that, to split the interlocal agreements?
It's a normal practice under a community development area. That designation is different than what you might be used to in an urban renewal area or an RDA, in which tax increment is pledged via resolution by the taxing entity committee collectively. And they do that in the form of approving a plan and a budget that designates those revenues. In a CDA, tax increment pledges are made through interlocal agreement between the agency and the separate entities, and those amounts are negotiated individually. It just so happens that the proposed projects that we have in the Kiesel CDA required a certain amount of subsidy that we anticipate, and so we negotiated those interlocal agreements to support that amount of subsidy. And the total tax increment approved for this district that can be pledged between all 3 entities, the city, the county, and the school district, cannot exceed $11 million over 20 years.
Any more questions for Brandon? Okay, thank you.
So next is the participation agreement. This is a standard agreement that we do that conveys tax increment to a receiving developer. In this case, it differs slightly in that we have 2 recipients for tax increment. One is the actual developer, Lotus Kiesel, whom you've met in previous meetings, and the other is CSPE 005, which is a single-purpose entity who owns the property. The incentive was requested and demonstrated as necessary by the developer for the purpose of subsidizing the acquisition cost of the building. And so the seller requested that tax increment, which is being used to pay a portion of the purchase price, go directly to him via the participation agreement. So in this case, we've added both the seller as a recipient and the developer as a recipient. The seller would receive tax increment for the first 7 years, and then that commitment would expire, and then the developer would receive tax increment for the remaining 13 years of the district, not to exceed $1.12 million. In the event that the developer doesn't meet his conditions of development by the date set forth in the agreement, then no tax increment is obligated and neither party would receive the incentive. So the seller's really relying on the developer purchasing the building, closing on it, and then going forth with his development to get the remaining portion of the purchase price. Questions about that?
Questions about that one? Okay. Thank you.
If there's no further discussion, I will make a motion to adopt Resolution 2015-15.
Second.
I have a motion by Board Member Gochner, second by Board Member Garner, to adopt 2015-15. This is a roll call vote.
Board Member Gardner,
Aye.
Board Member Gochner,
Aye.
Board Member Stevens,
Aye.
Board Member Wicks,
Aye.
Board Member Blair,
Aye.
Vice Chair White,
Aye.
Chair Heyer.
Aye, that passes. And on Resolution 2015-16, do we have a motion?
I will make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2015-16 for the interlocal agreement.
Second.
I have a motion by Board Member Garner, second by Vice Chair White, to adopt Resolution 2015-16. This is also a roll call vote.
Board Member Gochner,
Aye.
Board Member Stevens,
Aye.
Board Member Wicks,
Aye.
Board Member Blair,
Aye.
Board Member Gardner,
Aye.
Vice Chair White,
Aye.
Chair Heyer.
Aye. That also passes. And do we have a motion about Resolution 2015-17?
So moved.
Second.
I assume to adopt.
Adopt ro-
Sorry. Okay, we have a motion by Board Member Gochner, seconded by Board Member Garner, to adopt Resolution 2015-17. This is a roll call vote also.
Board Member Stevens,
Aye.
Board Member Wicks,
Aye.
Board Member Blair,
Aye.
Board Member Gardner,
Aye.
Board Member Gochner,
Aye.
Vice Chair White,
Aye.
Chair Heyer.
Aye. That also passes. Next item on our agenda is public comments. This is an opportunity to address the board regarding your concerns or ideas for the Ogden Redevelopment Agency. Please state your name and address clearly for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Virginia Hernandez Reza. I live on 24th and Jefferson. Please excuse my ignorance, but I am observing, listening to what this gentleman just has stated for community development. Now, let me ask you a couple of questions. I should be familiar with 2411 Kiesel Avenue, and I didn't really get to see it on the map there. That's on 24th Street, 11 Kiesel. Is Kiesel between what? What is it between?
Kiesel's between Washington and Grant.
Okay. Now, was this the area a while back where there were some apartments and homes that these people that were living in there were basically told to move out?
No.
Is that the area?
No.
Okay, good. Okay, what I would like to know at this point, since I'm ignorant with this information, how can I get, because I'm sure this planning was done for how many months for you to come to a vote? How long did this take for you to come to a vote? So how long has this been going on?
It's a long time process, Virginia, but we can address that, but it's not.
No, what I need to know, I want to get the information from that point to this point.
Yeah, this is
how it was
really
led
better
up
for you
to.
this is a time when you could give comments to us. We really can't answer a lot of questions for you at this point.
Okay, so who would I ask to get this information?
This would be
community
directed
development?
to the administration. So
Who?
the administration, you could go through the mayor, and
Oh, that'd be great.
he will
So
assign
I
some
can get
department
the-
director.
Okay, so I can,
Brandon Cooper would be happy to answer your questions. The
What's
gentleman
his
that just
name?
gave the presentation, Brandon Cooper.
okay, and this is why I'm coming here, because it says the public can ask these questions. I don't know who to ask, so you're saying for me to ask you? and
I
ask
think
him.
we can probably arrange to have Brandon meet with you after this meeting is over.
Well, that'd be great. I'd like to get that and just go back and see what's going on. Thank
Okay?
you.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, thank you. Comments from the RDA Executive Director.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the board support with this and Virginia made a great point in that this is something that takes a long, long time, and so quick presentation doesn't come anywhere near talking about or describing the amount of time and effort that Brandon and Tom and the Economic Development Department has put into this, so I appreciate your efforts. And these are always dynamic, unique projects, and they're better at these than just about anybody.
Thank you. Any comments from the board members?
Just this area, it will be so exciting to see these old buildings not torn down, but renovated and preserved, and
Repurposed and...
yes, it'll be a great addition for our community.
I agree. Any other comments?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion by Board Member Gochner, second by Board Member Garner to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. We'll prepare for our city council meeting as soon as our recorder gets reset for us.